Welcome back to The Legend of Zelda. So, last time we got the worst dungeon in the game out of the way. It's bad for reasons that you wouldn't typically expect from a Zelda dungeon. So anyway, no more of that. So yeah, today we are gonna be covering dungeons 5 and 6. So, main topic I wanted to meander through for a bit is actually the Satellaview, which was kind of a weird thing, collaboration with Nintendo and a company called Saint Giga, which is, as it sounds, just kind of a satellite add-on, so basically just think like early streaming. You could do a lot of stuff with it, but you could actually just beam video games onto your Super Nintendo. If you lived in Japan, of course. So I guess Famicom.
Yeah, the Satellaview is something that's always been fascinating to me, but probably was not as cool in real life as it is in my head.
Yeah, like, hearing it, it definitely seems like it was ahead of its time. To its detriment, though, it was decently well received from my understanding. It's just, you know, it was still Super Famicom in a time where consoles were kinda starting to move on a little bit. And also just, yeah, it's an early version of streaming. It had some drawbacks, like, for video games, of course, the limited amount of time you could play them, because of course it was a satellite thing. They were basically just getting things over to your console, not necessarily at the player's convenience. Also, yes, sometimes blowing up walls does screw you over. There were also, like, several things that weren't necessarily video games, but we're mostly here to talk about BS Zelda no Densetsu. If you're wondering, BS stands for Broadcast Satellite. But you know, it's made basically any of the Nintendo titles that were released on Satellaview very funny, because they were all BS something or other.
Every single time I will just read that as like bullshit Legend of Zelda, bullshit Fire Emblem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got the same issue. Can't really see it as anything else but honestly, similar sort of just to Fire Emblem. It's been ages since I've done the new Mystery LP, but like the Satellaview chapters for that, you know, they were remade for a DS game, so some of those limitations disappeared. But some of the advantages also disappeared as well, so no time limit, that was one thing. But also no voice acting, and kind of a simplified story, too. And it's sort of a similar thing with Zelda no Densetsu. There was voice acting. You had a narrator who'd talk about things on the overworld, and sort of try to guide you along. You couldn't play the entire game at once, of course, given the way Satellaview games were streamed. You basically just played a chunk of the game at a time, and you'd play certain events, get certain items, and then if I remember correctly, it kind of just like assumes you did all of the things by the time when you start the next one. That sort of thing. But yeah, it was just sometimes good things would happen on the overworld, sometimes bad things would happen, and then narrator would tell you about it. So it's certainly an interesting experience. I've elected not to play it, but it's a lot noisier, I would say, than this game. I would say one thing about this game is a lot of solitude in it, you know, kind of just exploring the kingdom, and all you ever run into is weird old people. We've got a match what the person earlier told us to get through here, the old hint lady. Which is easy enough, you just keep going up.
Okay, I just want to check, was there an add-on for the Famicom? Because I was under the impression it was just the Super...
Yes.
Are you sure? I can't find
I'm pretty sure you
about
had
that.
to attach it.
No, for the Famicom. The first one. I'm
yeah,
pretty
Super
sure...
Famicom.
Okay, the Super Famicom.
Yeah.
Not the Famicom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it was throwing me because you were describing this game, and I just kept thinking like that.
Yeah, sorry. It was on the Super Famicom, but yeah, no, I was shortening it to just Famicom. Also, speaking of Famicom, hey, here's an enemy that's a hell of a lot less interesting here than anywhere else. So that's a Pole's Voice. They are interesting enemies because their weakness is actually sound. So, if you're not playing the US version, the Famicom actually has a microphone built in to the controller that you could make noise into, and that would actually stun them. You can't really do that here, so you just kill them normally.
Man, fucked up of Nintendo to include game mechanics that encourage children to scream.
Yeah,
While playing their video
wild.
game.
Good thing they never did that again. Good thing they don't encourage blowing into your microphone to the point of exhaustion in any of their later consoles.
Hey, blowing into the microphone is fine. I'm talking about the poor parents that have to put up with their child screaming at their television because the Pole's Voice showed up again.
I mean, yeah, that would be annoying for the parents, but I'm just getting war flashbacks to Bowser's Inside Story.
Anyways, I see this dungeon's layout is based off the sprite for E.T. from the Atari.
Yeah, weird that they made it like that. Apparently this is supposed to be a lizard.
No, that's E.T. from the Atari.
I mean, considering the previous dungeon was the snake, you know what, I'd believe that. Otherwise, it's just too similar. Also, I'm gonna stop mentioning the overall, layout of the second quest dungeons at this point because, it's less interesting in later dungeons. 6 and onward are just, here's a more complex dungeon. But let me, just read out the dungeon layouts for second quest in order. 1 was E, 2 was A, 3 was L, 4 was D, and 5 is Z. So, Yalds. It's Zelda mixed up.
Man, it's still wild to me that Dark Nuts were a pain to fight even this early on.
Yeah, and you know, if anything, it's slightly more annoying here, because they just walk around. At least in later games they get like fancy flourishes or cool armor. But now here they're just walking. That's the most threatening thing he can do. I'm terrified right now. Alright, now to play the Where Are We in the Dungeon game. Over here, I guess. Anyway, back on the subject of Satellaview, the other major thing about BS Zelda, there are more than one, but the one I mentioned before is specifically based on this game. Zelda no Densetsu is rather. I think the other ones are closer to Link to the Past.
Yeah.
But The thing that's interesting is you don't actually play as Link in those. Apparently there were actually BSX avatars, which were in more than one game, which is a cute idea. I'm definitely interested in that. But yeah, there's just like a boy and girl character that were available for other games and kind of your gateway into certain games. Not all of them, of course. Going back to Fire Emblem, they weren't in that one. You didn't just see these two nerds in there.
I was aware of that vaguely, but I forget how. Maybe those sprites were used in Super Mario Brothers Crossover, if you're familiar with that
Yes.
game. That might have been... I don't know if you can still play it.
It's hard to say. Both in terms of, like, it's a lot that Nintendo would slap somebody over, and also, just in terms of gameplay, I remember that being, kind of a huge thing. I don't know how well it works out mechanically anymore.
So just because the game was never released in English doesn't mean you have to use the Japanese title. Zelda no Densetsu is just The Legend of Zelda. You can just keep calling it BS The Legend of Zelda.
But then I have to keep calling it BS The Legend of Zelda. Which can be confused with this game if you think about it.
Okay, but how could Zelda no Densetsu not be confused for this game?
Well, we're not speaking Japanese right now, so as long as nobody who is Japanese enters the chat out of nowhere, it's fine. It's slightly redundant, technically, but like, I don't have any other subtitle to work with outside of BS, and again, that's just weird for a different reason. Probably for only us. I don't know if BS is an abbreviation they use in Japan all that often.
The way that the ladder shows up in these dark rooms is very funny to me.
Mm-hmm. Can't see a thing, but I know there's water.
Are these blob guys the first incarnation of the Choo-Choo enemies? Or are they different?
They are apparently called Zol.
Okay, I feel like...
They look kind of gross, and are apparently a different thing.
Yeah. You say kind of gross. I think they look kind of cute. The sprite does.
The sprite does, yeah. The official art is just sort of a pile of sludge.
They look pretty similar to the design for the blob and A Boy and His Blob.
Mm-hmm. Fucked up an evil version of the blob. Just a view into my twisted mind. Also, thank goodness for the ladder, because without it, you could easily get cornered in these rooms. You will also probably get stuck on the ladder in these rooms. It's a trade-off, and this is just a mess of enemies. So yeah, those are Gibdos. They are weak to fire. We can currently only use one flame per room, though, so... Can't really do much about them other than stab them. Or blow them up, that's also useful.
Yeah, have you mentioned what Pole's voice weakness is in the American version?
I don't think they have a particular weakness in the American version.
They're weak to arrows.
Okay.
None of the documentation was updated to explain that.
Yeah.
But they are weak to arrows.
We had to have something. Arrows typically are pretty useful, especially if you're not doing a no-hit run, because you're not going to have this all the time if you get hit, so... The ability to shoot someone from a distance is pretty good.
Most kids, because the manual still says they're weak to sound, they assume that the whistle or the recorder, whatever it's called, can be used. But it can't.
You doing alright there, buddy?
The Pole's voice might have the weirdest design to me. They're just like a weird... Like, they're bunny-like, but I think about what it would have to look like in 3D space, and it's, like, too fucked up.
Yeah, you know, they do actually appear in Phantom Hourglass. That's the first time I ever saw them, and yeah, they are kind of freaky, because they are just, like, weird mouse mounds that look very angry, and then they get really big mouths when they attack you, and I didn't like them when I was younger. They were terrifying. And of course, since the DS does have a microphone, their weakness does actually exist, even for the US audience. They didn't just remove the mic from our controller in that thing.
That'd be really funny if they did, though.
Uh-huh. Alright, so yeah, there's our boss,
Jr.,
Digdogger. No, it's Digdogger.
Didn't even dig. Yeah. I forgot the fucking flash. Link, as you gather pieces of the Triforce, be aware, everyone is connected to a flashbang as a safety measure.
Yeah, so, just in case you're epileptic, the Triforce shards are gonna get you. Lynn, you gotta be careful. Also, yeah, we did get the recorder, or whatever it is. The Super Mario Bros. 3 Warp Whistle. So that is both the weakness of the boss, but also a quick way to teleport yourself between dungeons. Basically just goes in order. Which, is definitely useful because otherwise it's a little hard to figure out where you are by dungeon. If you are experienced with The Legend of Zelda, you probably know each dungeon entrance and the map piece it's connected to. I don't remember them as well, so it's definitely one that kind of trips me up. Also, bigger shield.
Almost looks too big for the sprite.
Yeah, we have to have a certain amount of strength to pick this one up, otherwise we just can't move. Thankfully, we've been doing strength build. I've also not mentioned them when they're on screen, but this game does have likes. Those are the weird blob things. They do eat your shield if you're not careful, so... It's a thing they have always done, and always will do. They're just kinda gross and weird, so stab them before they eat your shield. You don't want to have to keep buying these things, right? This was expensive.
It was always weird to me as a kid how, like, the sword in Legend of Zelda was always, you know, a huge deal and a very important thing, but you could just buy a shield.
Mm-hmm.
If Legend of Zelda had kept the Christian imagery, do you think that would make it more popular or less popular among Christians in the US?
You know, that's always a weird subject, because my assumption, you know, is usually just like, oh, well, they hate everything, right? Like, oh, sure, there's the imagery, but, like, you can't just casually use that. Look, Jesus is great and all, but, like, I don't know about killing all these moblins. Also, we did pay for a hint that will help us get through the Lost Woods. You do definitely need that if you're not familiar with the game. I'm sure there's a subset of players who has this path memorized. That is not me.
Just have to deal with the meeting of the centaurs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, these are Lionels. They were also a force to be reckoned with, thank you, iframes, back in the day. Not quite as bad as Darknuts, just because they aren't as defensive, but yeah, they tend to absorb a lot of hits. They also have ranged attacks. And you don't want to get too close to them because they're a little erratic in their movement. Welcome to the graveyard. There are ghosts, don't just casually push at the graves. Of course, as always, if you don't know the game, you do kinda have to do that, and risk getting hit by more ghosts. But, chances are you won't actually know which graves to go to. Master using it, and you can have it. Alright, so yeah. Here's our last sword. This one is definitely a little more difficult to get. Mentioned the white sword. You can pick up pretty quickly. I think that one was only 5. This one's the magical sword. This one needs 12 heart containers before you can pick it up. So yeah, you do need to make a pretty good bit of progress before you're able to do anything with that. Plus, it's just annoying to get to, so you definitely don't want to go all the way out there just to find out you don't have enough to master using that sword. Alright, and here we are in level 6, so... yeah, like I said, not gonna be mentioning the second quest dungeon layouts, because they're no longer just letters. But this one is the dragon. I guess we're here to rock this one. Okay. Well, that one's... I mean, maybe a little oversimplified, but less cryptic than usual. Oh boy, and this is just the episode where we get to see a lot of annoying enemies, huh? These are Wizrobes. They've also been the worst from game 1. So yeah, they just sort of disappear and reappear, and they've got ranged attacks. Depending on the configuration of the room, they can sometimes just be a nightmare to deal with. I feel like that's a relatively simple version of that kind of room for level 6. We've had harder. Oh god, and now we just have rooms like this. Just about every one of these enemies sucks for a different reason. Bubbles suck because they're highly erratic and can stop you from using your sword. And we already know about Wizrobes and Like-Likes already. I don't feel like there is any point in the game that's overly easy. Like, you've got level 1, and that's kinda it. Most of the rest of these are fairly difficult in some way or another, but we are definitely at the point of the game where things just hate you. Oh yeah, also they can sometimes just go intangible for a bit and go between blocks or otherwise impassable floors. Can't do anything to them when they do that, but they can definitely just kinda spawn on top of you. Anyway, here's Gleeok. He's not the full boss, but he's got 3 heads now, instead of just the 2. Gleeok kinda sucks to fight as a mini-boss for that reason.
It's so weird to look at this game and just think about what was allowed to become major recurring elements and what was not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Gleeok was in Age of Seasons, and that's it as far as reappearances go.
Yeah, Gleeok I don't think appears too frequently. Same with Aquamentus from the start, like, as far as Zelda dragons go, that is not one that gets a lot of use. I don't know if that one even appears in Seasons, or in Ages, right? Because they already had Gleeok.
I don't know. I feel like all of the original bosses make appearances in Seasons, but I don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the other ones make sense because they appear in even other games as well, for the most part. At least, Dodongo, and some of the other ones. Digdogger might also be only, Seasons and Oracles. Because that one's kind of just a simple design that I don't feel like gets much use. Manhandle, I don't know if that appears too often in the main series, but I definitely know that that one was a boss in Warriors. I distinctly remember that. And I remember hating it.
I feel like Manhandle got demoted to, like, major recurring enemy. I might be thinking of the P-Hats in Ocarina of Time, which are way scarier than the 2D versions.
Oh god, those things.
I remember encountering one for the first time when I was a kid and just being very, very scared.
Yeah, like, those things are just, you know, flowers in the 2D games. But yeah, no, the N64 games, Wind Waker.
Oh yeah, the Sea Hats.
God, I hate those things.
Every enemy in the Great Sea in Wind Waker sucks and I hate them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, love the Great Sea so much, but sometimes I do like the aspects of a game that are just kind of horrifying. I love a good FOE is the thing, and it's not quite the same because it's not like the things in the Great Sea are immortal or even all that powerful, but they're terrifying to look at, especially if there's a storm. But yeah, as somebody who also liked the dark trains from Spirit Tracks, sometimes I do just like the things that are mildly horrifying.
I like how I can't see the skull pattern in the bubble without getting a headache.
Yeah, they're not great to look at. Pikachu hadn't ruined several children just yet, so we had no idea what epilepsy was. Just zero clue.
It even has the same color pattern problem that did of red on blue. Of course, problem was that it was taking up literally the entire screen.
Yeah. It just sucks a little bit at small parts of the screen here. But yeah, as far as I understand, photosensitivity was one of those things that people were vaguely aware of, but it hadn't affected enough people for a large majority of people in, you know, medical positions go, yeah, that's a thing we need to worry about.
And it's weird because it's not, like, even if seeing flashes like
I
that
hate this room.
won't give you a seizure, it still sucks to look at.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like, I can't think of anyone that likes the stupidly bright flashing colors in older video games and cartoons.
Yeah, no, it sucks every time. Anyway, it's a Goma. Shoot him in the eye. You're good.
But
The old man told you the eye is the weakness. You just need to know to use an arrow.
for as hard as this game is, the bosses are complete jokes.